I think we're gonna pivot to the city clerk and council budget, and we'll pivot over to our city clerk. And Miss Clerk, if you want to introduce yourself, name and your title for the record, and then we'll pivot over to you.
Julie English, city clerk for the city of Salisbury.
The big city.
Yes.
Okay, so 11100, so 11100 is the clerk's budget account. Biggest thing that we had to budget for this year is the software that we got to help manage and create the agenda packets. We are planning to do a dual parallel testing of that on the 12th of May. Hopefully from that point on, we will get that system going live, so it will make Hannah and my life so much easier. But that is budgeted in account 534502. So that 11,366.94 is what that's going to. I do want to point out in 555502 in that printing account, that $5,000 has been budgeted, but Civic Plus is the group that handles our Municode online for the code and the charter. They contacted me, I don't even remember how long ago it was, but they contacted me that they wanted to do another contract with us. They weren't going to be doing it the way that they've always been doing it. You had to choose, do it this way or do it that way. I chose that it would be better for the city if we did a straight fee every month for the supplemental reports that we put in, so changes to the code, changes to the charter, that we send to them quarterly now. Luckily, we had enough money already budgeted in there that it fell right into that $5,000 that we already had budgeted, so I didn't need to ask for anything more for that. So hopefully that'll continue to be that way. One of the biggest, two big asks I had, requests for the budget was Hannah and I desperately needed more money in our training and travel account. It was barely budgeted enough for one person, let alone two of us. We had been sharing hotel rooms for conferences and carpooling, which we're going to continue to do because it saves money anyway. But administration generously gave us some more money in that budget. I also pulled from the office account some money, and then there's another account I pulled from. I don't remember which one it was, but I pulled from other accounts to help fund those two accounts as well. I think that is basically it for ours, unless you have any questions on our account.
I just wanted to highlight that, in the discussions we had, we want to make sure that, that we put in enough funds in the training and travel budget for you both to attend the conferences. And so I think it's imperative and it's prudent for both the city clerk and deputy clerk to make sure that you are on par with what's current and that you all are being professionally developed. So I definitely support that, and thank you for bringing that to my attention, to council's attention.
Definitely. And I want to thank you for making that a priority for us, because that's how we learn specifically about things that are related to clerks, municipal clerks. There's two organizations we're part of that provide these conferences, and it teaches us so much. It's just wonderful. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. I am going to move on to the... Yes.
I should know the answer to this, but the comp software, is that an annual fee or is that just 1 year? Is that just the purchase price, or is that the ongoing fee, the $11,000?
So the $11,000, that will have a 5% uplift every year.
Escalator, okay.
So that I calculate that in when I submit the budget. And include that in what I'm requesting. So
Every year we renew, it's another 5%. It's another 5%.
Correct.
Okay. But it's 11 grand a year. That's what you're saying.
for now,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
yep. Okay, any other questions before I go to council? Okay, so we're gonna move to 11,000, which is legislative city council budget. Let's see, so one of the things that we did, and I think they aren't the only one that did this, but to kind of provide some more transparency and for me to better track the spending and funds in the council's budget, I had them create additional accounts so that I could put the money in the accounts that were needed to show what the spending was going for. And I did have a few conversations with procurement, them wanting us to do this so they could kind of see where the money was going as well. So we created, and there's a couple additional things that have happened so far this fiscal year that I needed to account for next year moving forward. So we have created a uniform purchasing account that has $100 budgeted in it for each council member. So you'll each have $100 for clothing and such per fiscal year. And then the computer software, the 534502, you'll see that I had to add $479 in there. That is for the software for Adobe Pro for council president.
Sorry.
And flipping over to the next page. Computer account, the 546011, that I am using this fiscal year to get council president a laptop. One of the things I've decided moving forward, I would like for each of the council members to have a city issued laptop for them to do their city business on rather than using their personal laptops. MPIA is all I have to say about that. Deshaun will get his this fiscal year, and then Councilwoman Gregory is the only other one that doesn't have a city-issued laptop. So we're going to get her one at the beginning of fiscal year 26.
And that was, and thank you, Ms. English, for because again, I'm like currently I'm on my current MacBook and the Adobe I was using. I was paying for that myself, and when she highlighted, and we've had some requests, and you'll see that later with the cell phone account and those things, that if we get a request, they are able to procure our whole system.
They search your
the whole
electronic device.
Yes, and so.
Yep.
So a cell phone.
I'm getting there.
We'll get there.
Okay, real quick about the computers. Michelle sees a zero. And you're like, wait, I'm supposed to get funded. That is part of. We have all of the computer software in Steve's account. We've got $130,000. So you're part of that.
And he's aware.
Okay.
He's aware of that already.
Nope, we're good. Be appreciated.
I gotta be honest, I wasn't aware you guys were using your own PC, so
Yeah.
I really didn't pay attention.
Up until this, there was no schedule of like getting technology for
Yeah.
council members because we don't come into the offices, and so we had a discussion. So I didn't even know that it was even allowed from procured. That's when I got this one, and then we made sure. And then when the city clerk said that about because I'm fine with using. I prefer, but she stressed the importance of if we're doing city business to make sure it's on the city device because of the request if it comes in. Like right now, this is mine, and if there's a request, I'm
Confiscated.
yes. So
Absolutely.
if you want to move over to the phone and to that,
Yeah.
discussion, give me that.
The one other thing, talking about the Adobe Pro, I just want to throw out there, this is the time to let me know, council, if there is anything that you are going to be asking for the next fiscal year. If you're going to need an Adobe software on your computer or anything like that, please let me know now, because we need to get that budgeted in now for the next fiscal year.
If there was a joint, like a larger, I literally just asked if I could, because I was in the process of setting this up, I realized that I didn't have.
So typically what's built in when Steve will, when we allocate funding, it is your basic license suite, which is going to be Microsoft typically, and then Adobe Acrobat, so you can have read only. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit more advanced, you typically have, there's an additional cost associated with that. But it's a couple $100. It's not our comms team has an $1,100 Illustrator. It's a full suite of stuff. It's not that. But if you need, Steve can get your price quote, but it's probably a couple $100.
A ticket about that. So I don't know if that was something separate or what, but.
So is there a basic that we are given, and then anything above that we're responsible for paying for?
So the laptop will not come with Adobe software on it.
I think are you asking about everything?
Just any of the
Yeah, I think so.
technology. In other words,
Everything.
whatever we are given, is there a basic fee set or a cost to the city that the city absorbs? And then if we want bells and whistles, I'm thinking of my Comcast account, then do we personally pay for the upgrades is what I'm asking for.
Great. Let's talk about it in software, and we'll also talk about kind of hardware, which is also equipment. Typically, when you're talking about the hardware, which would be a computer, let's say it's a tablet, you'll probably be able to get a case with it, even a computer, a keyboard or something. So you'll have a basic protection, cell phone screen, all that type of stuff. When we typically have a full setup, if I was getting a new computer and I'm a new employee, I may get a computer, a couple monitors, a docking station, keyboard. So it depends on what the need is. I don't know if you all, because you don't have the stations, would get all the extra pieces. When it comes to software, there's the basic package. If there is a need for that is determined, that is of city value, the city would pick up that tab, because a lot of software is, it's not some of it's cloud-based, but a lot of it is going to be specific to the device. So when you were to leave or wanted to leave, that stays. You can't really take the software back off of it. Now, recurring cloud-based things, that's the discussion point. If you wanted a Canva account or you wanted a Zoom account that was independent from that, maybe that would probably just be terminated upon your departure. But I think that's something that can be discussed. Any additional bells and whistles above that, because it's going on to a city-issued device, we'd have to determine if that could be removed or if that had any sort of vulnerability or security issue by you adding that on there, because there's a chance you couldn't get it back off, especially if it's like it downloaded on there. It's an investment. So, did you have a specific example?
No, I was just curious because of all, like I said, all the different levels of upgrades and that type of thing. What we would be responsible for based upon, it's in the budget at a certain level. And then if it goes beyond that level for a personal request, then that messes up the budget. And I'm just wondering what the basics are that are the foundation that's laid for us to be responsible.
Yeah, I think, guys.
So for instance, this came up. So I've my personal preference is Apple devices, but so that's why we have the Apple for the iPads. But for the laptops, HP or Dell, and I asked the clerk just so I can, because I haven't used an HP laptop since I was in middle school, I think. But and that's that's our only option. So I'm going to have to get an HP device. Now, if I wanted a Mac, I'd have to pay I don't know how that would even work out, but I'm gonna exactly. So that's my only option. But if I desperately needed a MacBook, I would have to then pay the city the difference of what an HP laptop is versus a MacBook.
That's the answer. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to provide the information on kind of how this process works. So Adobe is not compatible with iPads. I learned that. I wasn't aware of that before. So for Adobe, you have to have a laptop. The Dell laptops that they issue from the IT department, like the two over there, they're standard. That's what they look like. That's the type that IT is ordering right now. Each council member would need to have a laptop like that to get Adobe installed on it, which is one of the things that kind of pushed me to every one of you needs a city-issued laptop. And then with the cell phones, the way that goes, they have all the information in procurement on how that works. They usually have, I believe, up to 2 options on which phone you can have that's free at that time. I think it changes quarterly or something like that. So one of those is chosen. But I mean, those are your options basically. Which free phone do you want? I think they do let you choose an iPhone or an Android. And then the way I look at, standard accessories that would come with a cell phone would be a case, of course, because we want it to be protected, a screen protector, and then, charger, of course, whenever you would need to charge it. But
So just to expound upon that, so if you look at every other department, again, they have a cell phone account, and you see the line item in there. So either the person chooses the $20, the allocation for their personal device, or they have a city issue cell phone. And previously, council has not allocated for that, but with us, the potential of an MPIA request and us using our phones, I told, the clerk brought it to me, and I agree that we, at minimum, each council member needs to be getting at least a $20 allocation, because there is a potential that, because we all use our personal devices, most of us, if there is a request, your whole phone is subjected to the request. And so at minimum, we need to be giving the $20, and then if so chooses, if the council member so chooses, then the $40 allocation for the council phone themselves, so that you aren't subjected to that personal device with the MPIA request.
Well, we've asked for phones before.
And we are now making that.
We were denied.
Well, we are. That is
And that was the same issue that you're talking about, the reason why I said that we should not be using our personal phones
Yes.
for city business. Because if they find something or it's an investigation, our phones are going to be confiscated.
yes. I agree.
This administration didn't deny your phones, just so you know. It's just trying to.
But I don't know. It's a yeah. I don't know. That's yeah. It was. Actually, we should be. It's
Real quick, it's up to you if you want to do a straw poll and who all wants to take advantage of that. $500, it's 40 times 12 is 480. So I think as we get into the discussion this afternoon, if more people want either a stipend or a phone, that $500 won't cover the full balance. So we need to move that up. Well, we did. This is covering. We knew we wanted it had already been brought to our attention that the council president was interested in getting his own phone, which he has. So we went ahead and budgeted that. If it is a decision to extend that or offer that to everybody, we just need to add that to our list.
would you like that as a topic of discussion?
Yes.
it became evident. Yes, I think that yes, our personal devices should not be.
I don't think so.
So,
Okay.
I use mine, just so you know.
well, when you get that request, it's
Yeah.
They don't have a use for a phone. They're not paying my phone.
Julie, are you on travel now?
Sure.
I didn't know, I just was wondering.
Yep, go right ahead.
That's a huge jump. 555503.
Where's the jump from?
So in actuality, we have a few more months, but the proposed is 5,500. And at the actual right now, even with only 2 or 3 months left, it's 1,136. Is that what it is?
MML.
If you see-
MML, that's a chunk of that.
It's been budgeted the same amount roughly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I believe the MML has already come out, if I'm not mistaken. I know we.
Was that before this?
For last year?
Printing.
So if we look at I think we did the math here, and if we budgeted the 5,500 is if each council member attended at least one or I think both conferences. So the option there is that you attend both conferences, because again, we should be budgeting that everyone does, because if we have a year where everyone does and a year where everyone,
And that's each conference and plus hotel.
that's the
No.
travel. Yeah, she's talking about the training budget, right?
Oh, okay, because I can't see it.
Well, either
Kind of
one.
go
So-
hand
Yeah, hand in hand. So we did the math where each council member attending both conferences and then the training budget, travel and training for the hotel stays and all of those things. Yep.
So the one that we just discussed, that you were talking about, the 5,500, that's travel. And then the training, is currently at 6,000, up from, 5,600. So that's the training and the travel. I think those are the main ones that changed. If there's any other questions or
Is that used for LASMA? I mean, that's not,
no, so
what is that?
I need to look into that. I think that was used. See, we didn't use it this year, and every year previously we have used that. So I need to go back and find out what that is for.
Remember, we talked about that. But I think, so in what Mr. Kitcher just pointed out about the cell phone budget, increasing that to, was it 42, 40?
If you, it's $40 per month.
Oh, if we all chose a cell phone, yeah, I got you.
And 20 if.
Our 2025 actuals are 67, 2024 actuals were 82. We have a few more months left of the fiscal year, but I think we'll come in, we'll definitely come in under our actual, budgeted amount of 93.6, but I think we'll come in under budget still, with the 2024 actuals, even with increasing the cell phone account and leveling up the travel and training account for each council member to have to attend each conference.
I'm not sure if you were just saying you don't need to increase those allocations.
I was saying when we do increase it, and when we increase that, and then when we finish off the fiscal year, I think we'll still come in right at the 2024 actuals or just under the 2024 actuals.
So
So if you're saying if you want to move the same amount, but I'm because to Councilwoman DeShill's point about the actuals, she was, but so I think we'll still come in under budget. Council typically doesn't use their full.
Right.
So what I've had to do for this fiscal year, to write out kind of the end of it, when these additional expenses come up, that weren't in the budget previously, the Adobe, the cell phone, stuff like that, I just have to pull it from another account that we've got surplus in and put it. So I need to do a budget transfer now, to pay for the cell phone. So I just have to pull that out of another account until we actually can get it budgeted in fiscal year 26.
Same with the computer. I think we
sense.
did that last year when 3 council members had laptops. We pulled funds from that. Yeah.
And it is an extra fee. In speaking with Steve Dickerson with the laptops, there's a fee, a yearly fee to have the software on there, like the basic software. I think it's like Word and Excel and stuff like that. An additional one for Adobe. And those are licenses now. It's not just where you install it on the computer and it stays with that computer. They're actually licensed, so that, if it needs to change, they can pull it with that license on that individual device and put it on another one.
Because like I pay for my Microsoft Office suite, which it's just I'm gonna pay for it all the time because I have other devices. Do you see? Can you check into that if there's an issue with if I'm using the city owned device?
Cross them over.
I know, but okay.
Other than Outlook, I'm not sure. I think everything else is fine. You're in OneDrive, you're in Word, you're in Publish,
Right.
and whatever. I think
Yeah.
you're good. It's logging into your account with your email. Can you connect your city Outlook email to your personal Microsoft account? I'm not sure.
I can check into that because that would be a cost savings to the city. I mean, like I said, I think Councilmember Gregory does too. You pay for your own Microsoft Office suite. I pay for that. I mean, I have the one where you have multiple devices. I don't.
You check with IT.
Okay, because that would be a cost savings to the city. I mean, but again, if a council member needs to, that needs to. Yeah.
I just have a laughable question.
Okay.
Why do I need a uniform purchase?
You don't? I mean,
Curious.
we can put 400 in there instead of 500 if you like.
That's fine.
It's just good.
Sometimes you get like shirts with the.
Yeah, I like
the logo.
having these
Oh, yeah,
when we're
okay,
doing neighborhood walks and things like
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Right, we're
You
at public
identify.
events. That's
I wear it when I'm in Target and it's constituent services. I get asked questions, and so I probably shouldn't, but
Yeah, no.
But yeah.
people will flag you down.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Just FYI, thank you.
Yeah, and that's one of the, going over this with Julie and Deshawn, thinking about the budget. Though you may not choose to go to a conference or wear the swag or do that type of stuff, trying to have a 5X multiplier for every decision point. So if someone wants to, I appreciate you being frugal, but we don't want to cut that short in case you wanted to go.
I'll just order one.
And that's what's happening
right.
in years past with like the cell phone people. It was frugality, but it's opened us up, and it wasn't a marker until recently with the whole stuff. I mean, it's 5,000, which again, yes, cost savings, but when we're opening council members up who we don't have an office, we don't, we are calling and emailing on our personal things, and we are spending, we're going to these kind of things, and so it's budgeted. This is, we are employee, so we're representing the city, so we have our own vehicles we're going to, and so that's, yes.
Thank you, Andy.
But we do practice frugality.
My 100 is up for a bid.
Even if it's not, we found that, there we go, that's the.
There you go.
Order her the Gildan versus the.
I'm gonna use a Sharpie.
Then they'll ask, well, why does Councilmember DeShield not have the same thing as everyone else? And they'll say that we treated you wrong now. Any other questions on the legislative or the clerk's budget?
So I don't know if we want to float this discussion now, but I know we've got interns and stuff that come in, and they've been a tremendous help to the clerk's office. But yeah, so
Yes.
thank you.
We have our one of our interns here, Nisa, here.
We appreciate you. But I know you guys have an overwhelming amount of work, and I think it would be nice for us to consider opening up another position for the council in general that isn't just focused on the clerk's office. Someone who could take calls, because a lot of us have other commitments during the day. This goes back to the conversation about the mayor being a full-time job now, and we're taking on more and more responsibilities as the council as well. But we're not able to, we're not getting paid anywhere near the amount to be able to, do this full time. Having another body that would just be able to work out of the clerk's office or work with the clerk, that would be able to handle business for us, answer phone calls, maybe answer constituent inquiries or organize constituent inquiries. When something comes into that, all city council members email, that sort of thing. I think that might be something that we would want to discuss. I think, I don't necessarily want to add to the budget, but I mean, if there's an interest in something like that, I think it would be helpful for us, because I can count a number of times where, we've all had a lot going on, or if we're at MML all together, that sort of thing. It might be worthwhile to discuss. I don't know what everybody else thought about that.
So what you're just suggesting, I would defer to Julie and Hannah, their recommendation for whether this is a viable cost that we need to incur.
So are you proposing a different type of position than what was initially proposed?
I just something that we were talking. We've had this discussion before about having a third person in the office and something like that. And I just something that would not necessarily do the same work, because we already have the clerk and the assistant clerk. But there's the possibility for having a third person that would be able to pick up duties that would otherwise distract you guys, that field the phone calls and things like that from constituents that, while that you guys have to handle all the time. You do an amazing job of it, and I do not know how you.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you do. I'm so glad you recognize that, because honest to God, you guys do an amazing job, and you do an overwhelming amount of work. I don't think people realize how much goes into preparing for something like this. It's really overwhelming, and we really appreciate that. And I think if we can lighten the load a little bit by adding a third person in here, I think that might be worthwhile.
I think the thought, and so it's kind of just like a thought, but especially, and I'm so glad we were able to procure and solidify the software. That's going to definitely make it so you all can handle, records management and fielding phone calls for the clerk's office, the agenda management, but also, I know you all have minutes and things that you all want to, be able to do and get out for the public, but, you're just trying to make sure that we stay afloat. And so I think, and then we have asking this, and then that comes to you all, because you all are our support, personnel. But then there's things that the council wants to be able to do beyond just that level. And then we are one individual who we also have obligations. So I think in, seeing how other councils and cities, municipalities and counties kind of, work, I think there would be, reason for, with you all's buy-in, for there to be an additional person to assist the council at the minimum at a part-time level, or if there's a full-time capacity, to be able to handle all of those extra things, so that you all can get up to speed and can stay at that level for the agendas, for the minutes, for the records management, which again, you all have cleared the way tremendously with that as well, with Hannah and Julie, but with you do it both. But I think there would be some.
I have forecasting this conversation because I'm in your brain. I've added it to our discussion list with a fully funded position that was originally requested. So that can be where we start if we want to transition to the general discussion, or we can close out this. But I've already added it as a discussion item from a funding capacity. We did not fund it in our budget, but I knew it was going to be potentially a request. So I went ahead and added it for further conversation.
Okay. Anything else on the city council, legislative, and the clerk's budget?
Now, one quick thing. Can you give us, before we address that, can you give us your feeling as far as the need for this, since it would be impacting your area and your responsibilities? That's all. I value yours and Hannah's feedback on something like this.
So the software is going to make my life so much easier. Once we implement that, it will not take me as long to get everything together and out. That said, it should free up a little bit of my time. I don't personally feel, and I'm kind of throwing Hannah out on, she's like, Julie, what are you doing? I don't feel that Hannah is at full capacity yet. But she is still new. Feels like she's been with us forever, but she is still new. She is still learning. I do feel like she is going to continue to grow, and as she does that, she's going to get more and more efficient. My personal opinion, I would want to see like a job description. We talked about the one that was presented previously that I shared with administration when I presented the council's account.
I've seen that job description. Maybe that's why I'm out of the loop here. There were some things on there that I feel that Hannah and I are taking care of sufficiently. Yes, the minutes are a burden, getting them caught up. We are working very diligently to get that done. That is going to be a priority as soon as this budget stuff is over with. I guess it would just depend on what that position would do. I don't want anything pulled off of our responsibilities, because those responsibilities are what we are getting paid for currently. So I don't want anything falling off of our responsibilities.
So again, I would just want to know like what the responsibilities specifically would be for that individual.
Oh, thank you, sorry. Yeah. And with that said then, this will be up for discussion, obviously. It may be on the back burner as food for thought in terms of next year, only because with Hannah having another year and the software in place, then that would give us more information as far as the necessity for that.
And I'm thinking, I think the idea is more fill in the cracks of what these guys don't do. Like I said, the constituent services aspect of it, that I know they field a lot of calls for us, and I think it would be helpful, a part-time type of position. I think that would be helpful just to take that sort of stuff off so they can focus on what they need to do. But yeah, I think we can continue to discuss it and flesh it out. I think that's a good idea.
If I just want to make sure they're prepared, we can transition. You can take a quick stretch your legs and then jump right into it, however you want to move on.
Is that concludes the legislative and the city council and the clerk's budget. I think the only other option, yes, just general discussion. And so I'm up for taking a 15-minute recess. Then we'll jump back into our general discussion.
Yeah.
Everything that we put on the back burner and the line items, and discuss those and see what we're going to move forward with.
And she's going to have all that up there, so we can walk along and.
Okay.
Did you want any more? You have your list, right? Like
Yep.
yesterday, Andy, you had already started everything and checked. Okay.
And I've shared it with finance, and I've been adding to it in real time. So we will be
Okay.
going through essentially this up here that has everything that we've talked about financially, and then essentially what happens is you add it or you delete it.
I cannot.
Yeah, you want to see? Okay,
Here,
yeah, I will. I'll shoot this over to everybody right now.
God, please email that to me because I cannot read that from here.
You can move over here.
You're right.
I can't get.
Sean, you want a quick
I can't.
5 minutes? 10
Really,
minutes?
truly.
Sorry, entertain a motion for a brief recess.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, this chair votes aye. We'll see you back at about 1:35.